HITMAT embraced its academic and professional reputation that has trained over 15,000 professionals in 10 years. Embrace HITMAT's numerous professional programs from HND to BTech, BSc, and MBA. The schools of Business and Management Sciences, Engineering and Technology, and the School of Transport and Logistics. Embrace HITMAT's professionalism, excellence, and consistency with solid mentorship from the University of Bamenda and the University of Boya. Embrace HITMAT's skills, development, expertise, and career orientation via workshops and academic field trips. Be part of the HITMAT family. Visit our Boya campus at Checkpoint Moliko and Douala campus at Carrefour Yoro, Jos, Bonamusale. Contact 683-70-1720. The Higher Institute of Business Management and Technology, the University Institute for Professionals.
Good evening, televiewers. You are welcome to this other edition of Prime on My Media Prime. This day we are going to be looking at the role that peace crusaders and conflict experts can play in ending the ongoing crisis in the Northwest and Southwest regions. Many efforts have been put in place to solve the problem, but for 5 years, we are getting to 5 years, no solution. The international community has issued several condemnations, condemning 1 or 2 acts, but till date, we do not have a clear way out of the current impasse. So we are going to be looking at what the peace crusaders in the country, what conflict experts can do to solving the ongoing crisis in the Northwest and Southwest regions. Is it possible for them to make the difference? So this day, we are also going to be using Tumfo by Saniko Hali, who accordingly is saying that we need sincerity if we want a resolution to the ongoing crisis. So we are going to be basing on most of the things that he has been saying. We know that he's been involved in many peace initiatives at the very micro level. We've seen him in at the level of inter-community levels. We've seen him at other international levels, and also the role he played as far as establishing the authority of the Northwest Afons Union. He's been very, very instrumental as far as the Christian Men's Fellowship at the level of the Presbyterian Church is concerned. He is a member of the Bilingualism Commission who has always spoken the truth, saying that though he is a member, but he wants the truth and sincerity to be spoken for Cameroonians to reap full benefits of the resources that God has blessed them with. So today we are going to be zooming on him. Next week we are going to be looking at some other person, but we are discussing this with our panelists who are seated already in the studio with us. Our consultant is there. Apostle Lambe Valentine Ngwa is here with us. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, Cameroonians. Good evening, my co-panelists. It's a joy to be here this evening to discuss the issue that has been tormenting our 2 regions, Northwest and the Southwest, and we believe by the grace of God we will be inspired to give you very vital information.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. You can see from my face.
You've prayed for the nation. You're apostle now.
I do that always. It's not today.
Okay.
I do that always.
We are also in the company of Kudi Hims. He is a member of the civil society. He's participating on this program for the very first time. Good evening, Kudi, and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, fellow panelists. Good evening, Cameroonians. It's a pleasure to be here to be able to bring my own ideas, my own 2 cents to what we think can help in solving this, in many ways, senseless war, which is has brought immeasurable damage and continues to bring suffering to our people. So it'll be a pleasure to bring what we have to the table at an individual level and collectively, and see what we can do.
Okay, we also in the company of Dr. Simo Marcel. She's representing the CPDM on this platform. Docteur, good evening, bonsoir et bienvenue.
Merci, bonsoir. Bonsoir aux copalénistes, bonsoir à vos milliers de téléspectateurs. C'est un plaisir d'être chez vous. Simplement, permettez-moi de souligner que vivement le réseau, comment est-ce qu'on appelle, CanalSat, soit déjà effectif parce que nous l'attendons. Permettez-moi de vous le dire, les téléspectateurs l'attendent au 309, je crois. Donc, vivement que l'application soit totalement effective.
C'était déjà là, hein?
Oui, mais ça, il y a encore des petites permutations.
Oui, ils ont pris
il y a des moments où
ça
ça donne, le lendemain, l'enfant me dit, maman, ça ne donne plus.
Et puis, la qualité n'était pas
la qualité de l'image. Donc,
et puis nous avions demandé que non, il faut qu'on nous reçoive, il faut qu'on nous reçoive en HD parce que c'est en HD qu'on les envoie.
Parfaitement.
Ça.
Donc, vivement que.
Nous travaillons sur ça.
Oui, vivement. Je crois que tout le monde est en attente et espère que dans les jours à venir, que la situation soit réglée. Voilà.
Oui, ça va s'arranger. We are also expecting the arrival into our studios of Andrew Nateme Bako, who is caught in traffic. He should be here in the next few minutes. We are starting with you, Apostle Ambe Valentine Ngwa. We've been there for years now without any headway. Are we not missing something that have we not been ignoring? A very essential aspect, factor that could have given us a headway out of this. I'm talking about those present in the country. They have been celebrated for decades as peace crusaders, as conflict experts.
Yes, Mr. Leo. You see, they used to say a prophet is without honor in his own country. Most of the times, people don't place value on what they have. It's outsiders that see what you have. From every indication, time has proven without doubt that we have very smart Cameroonians who can, by their experience and their studies and their results, they can champion a peace movement that can resolve this dirty, senseless war. But you see, like I said, most of the times we don't place value on what we have. You have cited the case of Tumfor Barida Nico Hale. The name Tumfor came when there was a squabble within the Northwest Fronts, and he stepped in between them as a mediator. And because of that skillful and tactical management of that particular crisis, that was when the name Tumfor was born, and he was the first person that sat on that seat as Tumfor. Beyond the borders of this country, there's a civil society in Zimbabwe that also invited him there as an election observer, whom he went there and then negotiated, and then things went so well. I'm doubting why we'll have people like that in our country who can proffer solutions in other countries, yet we cannot use them in our country. This goes back to confirm what I've just said this evening. Prophets are without honor in their own countries. Thousands of Cameroonians from different walks of life have come on television platforms and given practical solutions. These things have all fallen upon deaf ears. And we still go back, and there are many other Cameroonians in this country who have had awards from different countries. It's so surprising that sometimes it is international bodies outside that see what we have inside and then begin to place value on it. Look, for instance, nobody appreciated Abe Amer in Ethiopia when he came to power. For 18 months, he was able to resolve a 20-year crisis that took almost 100,000 souls between the border of Eritrea and Ethiopia. Within 18 months, Nobel Peace Prize gave him the Nobel Peace Prize award. He settled some crisis in Sudan. Now, why am I trying to communicate this? Are we telling ourselves that people from outside see us more than we see ourselves? There was a time we were told of a certain footballer in Cameroon who did well in the World Cup and was not valued. But when he went out, another president added him in his entourage. When they came to visit, that was when the president realized that this person you are playing low in your country is highly celebrated outside. For how long shall we keep on stoning our prophets, despising our valuable people, while they are beneficiaries to poor outside and they have no value to us? I think we should look back into our houses, study what we have, and then be able to make use of them. Yes.
Do you share the same opinion with senior apostles? So persons are calling you senior apostle. I don't know whether I should
just take it.
Yes, Kudi, do you have the same impression as him?
Yes, indeed. And most importantly, the people who are most affected by this crisis is a common man.
Yes.
And more often than not, they have been relegated to the background. It is like they don't have a voice. Why must someone always talk on their behalf? Okay, you've given the vote of confidence for the past 5 years and more to the state players, to government officials, to talk on our behalf and so on. But we are still in a very, very precarious situation. So we have to try things in another way. And I think, like you have rightly said, one of the most important ways to go about it is to pay attention to individuals who have a a reputation, a proper standing in managing conflicts, who have respected by all parties, be it from the government officials, be it from the population we are talking about, be it from
the separatists,
and so on. So why don't we try something else? Why do we have to keep reinventing the wheel, doing the same things and having the same results? So we should have another approach, take another approach.
Ok. Dr Simo, est-ce qu'il est temps aussi de revoir ce qu'on n'a pas pu faire pendant des années? Il y a des Camerounais qui sont pétris de sagesse et talent pour nous sortir de cela. Est-ce qu'il faut s'entêter que, ok, il faut seulement que ce sont les membres du gouvernement, il faut que tu sois sorti de l'INAM, et puis on néglige presque tout le monde, hein? Parce qu'on a des Camerounais qui peuvent apporter, qui sont négligés.
Non, je suis un peu gênée de comprendre qu'on dise, après 5 années de guerre, parce que pour moi 5 ans c'est trop.
Oui.
Et c'est 9-5 ans, beaucoup de personnes sont mortes. On ne peut pas compter aujourd'hui, dénombrer le nombre de citoyens camerounais que nous avons perdus.
Il y a des gens qui sont morts aujourd'hui.
Voilà. Et en termes même matériels, ce que le pays a perdu, c'est une zone, tout le monde connaît. Bamenda faisait partie des plus belles villes du Cameroun. Donc, je dis, on a perdu beaucoup de choses. Et je suis en train de dire, je ne suis pas très d'accord qu'on dise qu'il y a des gens qui peuvent. Non, je suis de ceux qui pensent qu'il y a des gens même qui peuvent le faire. Mais qu'il ne faudrait pas qu'à chaque fois, on se focalise. Et ça, je l'ai toujours dit, même ici. Été gêné de voir une crise comme celle-là qui détruit qui est en train de décimer tout un peuple, tout le Cameroun, et on se focalise sur le chef de l'État. Moi, ça me dérange. Je suis de ceux qui pensent que lorsque chaque personne peut apporter sa pierre à la construction, à l'édifice, qu'il le fasse. J'ai été peut-être un peu choqué que l'effort, par exemple, ou alors le Seigneur n'a pas pu donner assez de temps au cardinal Toumi d'avancer, parce que voilà des personnes qui ont un poids, ou alors qui avaient un poids dans cette zone. Mais ils sont nombreux, c'est parce que le cardinal est parti aujourd'hui qu'on va dire qu'il n'y a plus personne. Non, il y a par exemple des hommes d'église, il y a des élites dans cette partie du territoire. Il y a l'ancien bâtonnier dont nous parlions aujourd'hui, le bâtonnier Allé. Donc il y a Nico Allé. Il y a des personnes des personnes ressources, voilà, on les appelle des personnes ressources qui peuvent faire l'affaire. Je suis peut-être gênée de savoir que ces personnes se lèvent aujourd'hui. Mais vous conviendrez avec moi que si ces personnes s'étaient levées beaucoup plus tôt quand l'action commençait, rassurez-vous, on ne serait pas arrivé où nous sommes aujourd'hui là. C'est qu'ils ont ils ont voulu laisser le gouvernement agir, ils ont voulu laisser le gouvernement... Non, lorsque des gens sont en train de mourir, ce n'est plus l'affaire du gouvernement, c'est l'affaire de tous. Et si chaque citoyen peut apporter sa pierre à la construction, à l'édifice, à la reconstruction de la paix et de l'équilibre social, je crois que c'est porteur, c'est bénéfique. Des hommes de Dieu, on en a un sur votre plateau, et je crois que c'est des personnes qui ont du temps dans cette partie du territoire. Donc,
que je disais même avant.
Que vivement, voilà, j'ai peut-être pas compris, mais que vivement nos frères qui ont décidé, n'est-ce pas, de se rebeller contre leurs parents, parce que moi j'appelle ça comme ça, commencent un peu à croire en ces parents-là. C'est ça qui
Okay, we are also in the company of Dr. Tata Emmanuel Fon, who is going to be coming in from China. Doctor, good evening and welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brother Leo.
Yeah,
thank you. It's an honor. It's always an honor for me to be a part of this program, to share ideas on the way forward as far as peace in Cameroon is concerned. It's always been an honor for me. It's usually said that somewhere I read that the world is not going to be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who see evil and do nothing about it.
Yeah,
I think it's
exactly. That is exactly why we think that we need to actually push on those who have been silent, or those whom we think can do something to swing into action. But do you have the impression that conflict experts in the country, peace crusaders, have been sidelined for some time now?
Yes. You see, Cameroonians have always been having a lot to contribute as far as the peace of Cameroon is concerned. It's all about creating that environment for those actors who have what they can offer to Cameroon as far as the striving for peace is concerned, to be able to express themselves. You see, I must indicate that before this whole crisis has gone to where it is today, if we had had a situation where by the time it was starting, if all of Cameroon stood up, we wouldn't have been where we are today. So it takes collective effort. That's one thing I really need to emphasize. It takes collective effort for Cameroonians to stand up and put their hands together, because if responsibility, if people have to start giving responsibility and pointing fingers that it is A or B who probably has the responsibility to get this done, then it will be difficult or more challenging for us to move towards a logical resolution to the challenges or crises that we are facing. But if every Cameroonian stands up in solidarity to all that is going on and say no to it, then I believe that it is the first step to moving towards a veritable solution.
Dr. Atem, you are a peace crusader yourself. You are a conflict expert. Are you also talking to yourself that it is time for you to up your game? Yes.
Each and every one of us has a responsibility, and that is where we are supposed to start from, by not pointing fingers to one person or the other, that it is your fault or it is this other person's fault, or that is, if we all take responsibility that it is all our fault, because this thing happened at our watch. We were all there. We were all watching it happening. So if we want to get solution to it, then the first thing we have to do is to take that responsibility that yes, we have made a mistake. So how do we move forward? We all need to stand up now, as we're all doing now, to start creating that possibility, to start making ourselves available, to start talking to each other, to start listening to each other. Because if we only keep certain people talking, or if we only let certain people listen all the time, then all the opinions will not be on the table. We have to be able to create that space where everybody can say something, where everybody can be heard, where everybody can be listened to. We do not have to shut some people down. We have to be a little more tolerant as far as we are deciding, we're creating that possibility to move towards peace. You see, peace is always peace will always come at a price. Of course, if we're looking at peace, we're also going to be thinking about how to establish some form of justice. Okay. Because for us to claim that we're going to talk about peace without defining the scope of justice, the extent to which we all can be able to accept some form of justice, it will be difficult for us, because we have to start looking at defining what do we observe as being just. What are some of those things that we have to open our minds to and say, okay, we have made a mistake. You see, until we accept our faults, it will be difficult for us to move towards peace. Okay. So the first thing is for us to accept the mistakes that we've made, so that we can be able to see the space that we can create for peace. Okay.
Tumfo Barrister Nico Halley is a member of the Bilingualism Commission. They are on a hate speech tour. And in Bamenda, he had these remarks to make while addressing those who came for the plenary or the session. Let's take this first reaction when he took to the rostrum to talk to those who came for that that campaign in Bamenda.
Seek ways and means to build this beautiful nation, which so far has been shattered, destroyed, shredded by the evil spirit. My colleague has presented the mail from the head office. letter from the head office, an address. What I want to say is that at the end of this intercourse, we call it intellectual, social. We should be able to come out with a new mindset. If we do not, then it was not necessary to hear today. Time for hypocrisy is over. Time for falsehood is over. We have lied and lied and lied and lied and lied, and we have been, the lies have caught up with us.
That was Tumfo Barrister Nikohale in Bamenda. You understand him, Apostle Ambe, when he says that time for hypocrisy is over, time for lies are over. This is time to face a reality and to be sincere and tell ourselves the truth.
Yes, Mr. Leo, peace is an offspring of sincerity. If there is no sincerity, peace cannot be born. So much lie has been told as far as the crisis is concerned from both camps. And I'm very, very convinced and very sure I have sat on this platform to point out some of those very, very serious lies told as far as the crisis in the north and the south is concerned. People are doing propaganda, and we have studied history to understand that propaganda has never championed or caused any war to succeed. If you think I'm lying, ask Joseph Goebbels. He tried in the days of Hitler and failed woefully. He announced areas that Hitler had taken control over, which Hitler never even stepped his leg on those areas. That is what we are getting today. The war is more on social media. The war is amplified through vocal expressions than what is on ground. What we are seeing is that the truth of the whole matter is not displayed. If at all we understand the truth, then I'm very, very convinced we can be able to provide a solution. The lie alone has given people another impression that something extraordinary is happening, and everyone is even afraid. I can tell that there are very good conflict managers in this country and very good peace crusader, but the lies told about the war gives them the impression that they are not even having the capacity to manage what is on ground. And this truth must be told. That's the reason why we sometimes, when we get some results from places, we don't just conclude. We have to sit down and do analysis. You are investigative journalists. Yes, because we see a lot of pictures on things that sometimes are false. They are false. Not have passed for a very long time. With the coming of social media, it has amplified the war. The war has gone beyond control. My worry is this, and I will still say it on this platform, Mr. Leo. Why is it that we have been wired to think that solutions come from outside? There is practically, absolutely nothing we believe that comes from us that can help us. We are having a war in Cameroon. We are looking for UN. UN is not in Cameroon. We are looking for Swiss. Where are the persons in Cameroon who can handle a crisis? We're looking for Swiss.
No, but when you listen to somebody like Atumfo, you think that he's not credible. He's not. What's wrong?
That's what I'm trying to make you understand, that we have been wired and oriented to think that every good thing that can solve our problem will come from outside the country, because we practically depend on everything outside the country, to the extent whereby we are sick right here in this country and we're looking for a doctor out of the country. We want to eat, we look for what is out of the country. We produce local drugs here, but we drink what comes out of the country.
We want to dress, we
want to dress, we must look for what comes out of the country. Why is it that we do not appreciate what we have at home?
Like myself, I'm putting on a suit.
That is it. Now look at what Barrister Tumfo Hale is saying. He is saying something very important. Time for lies telling is over.
Would you get this from a diplomat? Would they say these things?
They will never. That's why I say the war is beneficial to some persons, while to other persons is killing others. The people who hate the existence of this war are the people who are underlining the truth as far as this crisis is concerned. And I can tell you that I told that peace is an offspring of sincerity. If there is no sincerity on ground, I can guarantee you we will be dancing, and human lives are being taken away every day. If you see such a man stands in the midst of his colleagues and said, there is a lot of lies telling, there is a lot of falsehood.
That's
there
a member of the bilingualism.
Because you see, people don't just speak out of excitement. They must have had close observation. That thing is how do I put it? It's an outburst of what has been closely followed up on ground. So he is trying to express it. He might not target individuals, but to those who know they have been telling lies, he's addressing it to them.
Okay. Yeah, but how do we have persons like this, and for 4 years we are not seeing them heading any commission? They are not, they're just there because he is a member, and we are looking for solutions on both sides. They are looking for Swiss, like he said, looking for the United Nations, and looking for other quotas.
All right, I'm going to be honest with you. It's one word: truth. Truth, sincerity, and transparency. It all revolves around the same thing. Barrister Nico Hale has said it: the time for hypocrisy is past. It's gone. We need to take practical steps. And one of the most important aspects of steps in is autocritique, what they call autocritique, to be able to, at every point in time, measure how far you have come. I want to think that these peace crusaders, the first thing they should do, or they can do, if they should be brought in as we are suggesting, is to be able to inspire confidence amongst all the warring parties. First of all, the state, then the separatists, then even the NGOs, those who are taking part in maybe providing aid, doing any kind of liaison or whatever. They have to propose a situation where, or to make a situation where all the warring parties have enough confidence and accept that we all have the same objective. I think the time is gone. It's far spent for us to be talking about who is wrong and who is more wrong than the other. What we should all be accepting to do now is to take responsibility on finding the solutions. I think it's past the point where we have to be saying who is wrong and who is right. We all have to put our hands on deck and agree that what we want now is solutions and actions that need to be
that we all are responsible. Dr. Simon Marcel, vous avez suivi le bâtonnier. Oui, et qu'il y a trop d'hypocrisie et que le temps a été passé et que beaucoup de mensonges ont été dits. Il est temps qu'on se dise la vérité.
Oui, c'est très important, hein, mais pour ceux qui le connaissent, il était même bon déjà de faire un portrait sociologique de ce bâtonnier, parce que de manière générale, tout le monde le connaît comme un homme républicain. Je ne veux pas dire 100%, mais c'est même 500% républicain. Quand je parle de républicain, c'est quelqu'un qui respecte les institutions, qui respecte les valeurs de son pays et qui respecte son pays de manière générale. Donc, c'est quelqu'un qu'on a connu sur cette casquette-là. C'est un ancien bâtonnier peut-être, mais qui a encore sa place et de la valeur dans l'ordre des avocats du Cameroun. Ça, il faut le reconnaître. Donc, vivement, moi je vais dire Dieu merci, hein, qu'on finisse par tomber sur ce genre de personnes. Parce qu'en principe, la question qu'on devrait se poser aujourd'hui, c'est depuis qu'on cherche des solutions, il était où? C'est pourquoi j'ai justement dit, même sans être interpellé, à un moment, chacun devrait se sentir responsable et se lever pour pouvoir apporter, n'est-ce pas, sa petite contribution à la situation. Parce qu'à chaque fois, et heureusement que vous commencez à me rejoindre là-dessus, à chaque fois qu'on vous résout un problème et qu'on cherche à établir les responsabilités, je vous assure, jamais on ne trouvera de solution. S'il faille dire non, toi monsieur, tu as 50%, toi madame, tu as 60%, je vous assure, on ne trouvera jamais de solution. Parfois même celui qui n'a rien fait vient vous dire, ok, j'ai tort, je pardonne, je m'excuse, il vous demande pardon simplement parce qu'il veut reprendre, il voudrait que le calme revienne, il voudrait que la paix revienne. Donc, il est important que l'on se rende compte que nous sommes en train de mourir, nous sommes en train de périr, nous sommes en train de nous détruire sur le regard des personnes qui veulent entretenir une économie souterraine de la guerre, parce que tout le monde le sait, il y a beaucoup d'argent de manière souterraine, il y a des gens qui sont bien assis là chez eux et se battent pour que cette guerre ne finisse pas. On commence à voir du côté des États-Unis parce que toutes les personnes qui attisent cette guerre, toutes les personnes qui nourrissent cette guerre, on sait très bien qu'ils se retrouvent de l'autre côté et qui commandent des actions et des mouvements. Donc vivement que nos frères ne les écoutent plus, parce que il y a un ensemble d'éléments quand même que les hommes devraient se mettre en esprit. Ils sont de l'autre côté là-bas, les enfants vont à l'école. la vie est normale, c'est-à-dire il n'y a pas de problème, les femmes vaquent à leur occupation, les enfants vont à l'école. Mais ça fait pratiquement 5 ans aujourd'hui, je crois de 2014
non, 2016.
De 2016, voilà, à 2021, pratiquement 5 ans. C'est pratiquement 5 ans aujourd'hui, donc c'est beaucoup. Imaginez 5 ans, un enfant qui n'est pas allé à l'école. Posez-vous la question, qu'est-ce qu'il va devenir? Donc je crois que ça commence à être très dangereux, ça commence à être très dur, très pénible. Vivement que les gars s'arrêtent et comprennent que on doit revoir la situation autrement. Même si on a des revendications à faire, qu'on arrête d'abord cette sale guerre.
Il faut qu'on arrête la guerre que vous considérez sale. Andrew Atemebako is in the house with us. Andrew Atemebako, we're looking at our internal peace crusaders and conflict experts. Do you also think it is time to give them a voice, to also give them an opportunity to show their what is called a savoir-faire?
So the last word in French, I didn't get it very well.
What they know how to do best?
Well, you see, Mr. Leo, we have, when this crisis began, people have tried a lot of options. A lot of, key holders and stakeholders and organizations, including the government, to resolve this problem. We have equally turned to the international community. There have been no solution. We've turned to the AMBA. There have been no solution. We have turned to the military. We are made to understand that there are 20,000 military in the northwest and in the southwest against 2,000 armed separatist fighters. By that ratio, we were confident enough to understand that there is no existing conflict down there. But the reality proves that otherwise. We have equally turned to the church. We have been made to understand that the church is still young after 2,000 years. We have... It's a cool We have turned to the lawyers. Actually, the lawyers were the one who began the thing with the teachers. There have been no solution. We have turned to the chiefs. We were made to understand that the head of state is the chief of chiefs. So the chiefs are no longer relevant. We have turned to the elites. We realize that the elites, as the analysis says, that the elites have appeared cheap. And so they have no longer and so they have no longer relevance to apply changes to their people. Now we are turning to individuals to see if we can find someone among the crowds, a group that is able to affect changes in this crisis we are going through. So if you look at the things I've been able to put down, we look at all the structures and the people that we have consulted in the beginning is versus the population of the Northwest and the Southwest. You see, but my main concern is that we have not been able to look at the natural order of things. Every head is carried by a neck on a shoulder and the body sustains it, which means that the head is never taller than the body because it's the body that carries the head. And therefore means that the head should be accountable to the body. So we have all these things have been able to cite out could work if and only if the masses gave their support. When the armed separatist fighters started with the ideology of secession, the population stood behind them and they gained fame and popularity, and they were able to bring this struggle to where it is today, that we are struggling to reverse things, and there are no way. If this same population could stand either behind any of these groups of people that I have mentioned, whether it is the church leaders, whether it is the elites, whether it is the chief, whether it is whoever, things would have changed, because no one here have been able to come back on the table and ask that what is the role of the population? What can the population also put on the table as their own contribution in solving this problem? We have had other people who have made attempts. They have not been a collaboration from the side of the population, and that is where the major challenge is. We are just coming from another analysis of Mbelamoki, with the Prime Minister that we are realizing that they are facing a problem of collaboration with the masses. We have elites that have been sent down there. We have regional councillors, actors that have been sent down into those two regions. The major problem they are facing is not with the government. It's not with the armed separatist fighters. It's with the population, the masses, and not seeming to find a ground of cooperation with these people. Because the only time we can have practical solutions and things changing for the good of the people is when the population stands behind any decision that either parties will take as a resolution that can bring about a long-lasting solution to this problem. And that is where I feel that we need to get past the level of not only looking at these elites, these people I have all mentioned. Let us also try to focus our energy on the masses, the population, because we will need collaboration from the people. Even when all the things the government has put in place, which we also understand that it is not directly addressing the current crisis, but if the people stood behind any of these things, you realize a change. So this is what I'm saying here, that to me, Mr. Leo, it will still come back to anybody that, or any group or organization that we deem necessary, that it can come out with practical solutions that can, mitigate the situation in the Northwest and the Southwest. I am calling on the population of those two regions. It will take the population of those two regions to decide and build a region and a society that they deserve, because at the end of the day, they are the ones that live there and they are the custodians of those areas. So any change or development that is going to come, if they don't give their support, like I mentioned, Mr. Leo, there will be no solution. We can bring even Jesus from heaven, there will be no solution. We can bring even whoever we feel that can bring a change. We know what late Cardinal Tumi did. We know what other attempts people of goodwill try to do to bring about a lasting solution. Even if the government said no and the people say yes, there will be a change, because at the end of the day, it is the people that have the decision to their own destiny. It is the people that can decide to be masters of themselves and not seeking who is going to be a master for them. So I am saying that, Mr. Liu, we need to start getting to the point where anybody or the actors that are already down in the areas of decentralization, regional councillors, house of chiefs, special consulators, they need the cooperation of the people. The senators, the members of parliament, they need the cooperation of the people, because they want the energy and the force and the power which the masses can create. Mr. Leo, we have seen that in societies. Like I gave very practical examples where we have seen policies that have been changed by the government due to the pressure that the population brought upon their government. So we will have change if we start getting the cooperation from the masses as well.
Good evening to you, Fondon Richard, Nana Donat, Biki, Blacksy, our sister watching us. We're glad to know you're watching us. Wayo Mayo, good evening to you, Mary B. And to all of you watching us on social media. We will get on to you, Dr. Tata Emmanuel, out there in Shanghai, in China. You listen to Tumfor Barrister Nico Halley. He says the time for hypocrisy is done with, the time for lies telling is done with, and that we need to look ourselves face to face and see how to look for a proper way out.
Yes, thank you, Brother Leo. You see, peace is not the absence of war. There's so much that goes into peace, besides the fact that guns are not being used. Peace is a product of justice. One key challenge in Cameroon is that those with the power have no solution, and those with the solutions have no power. You see, Cameroonians seem to have turned to, or there's this impression that Cameroonians are turning to expect solutions from outside, because the systems that are put in place by our constitution don't seem to be serving don't seem to be working the way the people expect these systems to work. That is why they think that if people at certain positions have the power to influence systems in ways that are not supposed to be, that is where there is this lack of trust between the systems and the people. You see, one thing for sure is the government has the overall power to create the enabling environment, because if the environment is not created, it will be difficult for the people to apply themselves to the environment. Take, for example, the late Cardinal Tumi's initiative. I was very surprised that an opportunity wasn't given to that initiative, because initially I think the government was asking the question of who were they going to dialogue with. But that was an opportunity for the people of Southwest and Northwest to come together, so that they could get those that would actually sit down and have a conversation with the government and see how we could get a way towards peace. I get very uncomfortable sometimes when I hear Cameroonians saying that those who are fueling the war are in America or something. I begin to ask myself the question: who is in charge in Cameroon? Cameroonians are in Cameroon. You see, we need to take responsibility. You see, if Cameroonians in the Northwest or Southwest, or Cameroonians anywhere, are listening to people elsewhere, it's because those people kind of tell them something that they are not being told by Cameroonians in Cameroon or by those who are leading them. It is because those people are presenting some form of a hope, be it false or real, but those people are they are presenting to them some form of hope that they are seeing into what those people are saying. So I think for us to go forward in peace, we have to take responsibility. What are the people that we claim are in America telling Cameroonians that Cameroonians are giving their attention to them that much? What is it that they are saying? What is in what they are saying? I think if we begin to take that responsibility and tell Cameroonians what their real problems are and how we can work out of the problems, then I think we're going to go towards lasting peace. Because like I indicated much earlier, peace is not just the absence of war, but the product of justice.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Dr. Atem coming in there from China. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm happy to hear Madame Simo support Barrister Nico Halley in that time for lies hypocrisy is over, which means that she now agrees that to some extent some people lied. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Barrister Nico Halley has been talking since the outbreak of the crisis, yet the situation is exacerbating. Every day, peace crusaders and conflict experts have to step up there again. Suleiman, writing from Boya. Good evening, Mr. Liu. All panelists, as the barrister rightly said, it is time for falsehood to disappear, and it must start from known state armed groups and the military. The recent falsehood 2 days ago in below frontier as a civilian was killed, and it's a rumor by government that he was a general with known state groups. Okay. Figure is writing from Bamenda. Good evening to all the members in the studio. Man of God, Cameroon has proven to us that there are no serious in providing solutions to this problem. We believe that Cameroon government okay. Ngwa is writing from Abakwa, that is in Bamenda. Good evening to you, Ngwa. Apostle Ambi Valentine Ngwa. I want us to look at the fact that opportunity is supposed to be given to the peace crusaders and conflict experts, but we also need the disposition of the key stakeholders in the conflict. I'm talking about the separatists and the government themselves to now entrust and think that these persons can help both parties out of the current situation.
Yes, peace crusaders, I beg your pardon, are bridges that links the government and the separatists. And a bridge cannot decide if somebody has to cross to the other side. A bridge can only make himself available. The persons have to decide if they are going to use the bridge or not. If you construct a bridge in a community and the individuals refuse to use the bridge, there will be no link with both communities. I think the peace crusaders are coming in between as a bridge And it is a choice of the both parties to choose if they're going to use a bridge or not. If both parties have fastened their own rope at different ends and refuse to use the bridge, do you mean to tell me that all the Cameroonians who come on television and give practical solutions and ideas to solve this problem, the government has not been seeing them, or the separatists? The worst of it is that the people already have the kind of judgment they want. And they know who will give that kind of judgment. So they have already premeditated program in their mind that they don't even see you in the picture coming to give them what they are looking for. It is a game of interest. Everybody has something he's bringing directly on the dinner table. And if you are not coming to talk in line with that thing they are asking, you are not, no matter how intelligent you are. Somebody's intelligence can only be useful if people accept it. Children can never place value if they don't play value on a lecturer. The lecturer, no matter how intelligent he is, his lectures will have no use in the life of the children. I am sure that we have the solution to the problem in the country, but the persons in question who are the one instigating this crisis, they are not interested to use the intelligence and the know-how of the persons in question. What if the Prince Crusaders stand up tomorrow and say, we have skill to solve this conflict? I'm sure even if we don't have peace crusaders who have come to own up that they want to solve the conflict, people have come on different TV platforms and they have thrown ideas in the air. Let us consider you don't want to belittle yourself by going to sit in between people in your country. Why not take the initiative shared on different TV platforms to engage them practically to bring a solution to the problem? So I think the peace crusaders can only sing the song they have to sing, but the stakeholders in question have to collaborate and work with those peace crusaders to see that peace is manifested. What happened in Sudan? Salva Kiir collaborated with the rebels because the peace brokers had been there. You want to tell me that United Nations is a peace broker? Is not a peace broker. Cameroonians are all peace brokers. As a matter of fact, the common man in the streets, the death of those children in Kumba is enough peace broker. The death of the children in Gabu is enough peace broker. The killing of this guy in Fontas is enough peace broker. The military dying in the streets, they are enough peace broker. We don't even need a civil society. The damages caused on ground already was supposed to have brought us. What is happening right now in Tigray? People have died in Tigray for a few months. Abiy Ahmed, who won the Nobel Peace Prize, after the Nobel Peace Prize had a strike in the country, and he had to put that skill into action. That is to say, I'm not giving this peace because I like it. I'm doing it because it is needed. That's what you're supposed to be talking here. There are some things that are more needful than your likes. And we want to do what we like, not what we need. And because of this issue of doing what we like, we don't do what we need, we are standing where human lives are going down. The government of Ethiopia has called for peace in Tigray. How long has that war taken place? Is Tigray more powerful than the government? No, it's not more powerful. I'm not doing this peace because I like it. I'm doing it because it is more important than my likes, than my feelings. So I think our sentiments, feelings, emotions, and our desire, our ego should be dropped, because I think what is killing even the use of knowledge in this country is arrogance. I told someone, no matter how intelligent you are, if you lack character, your knowledge will not be accepted. What we are having today in this country is the absence of character and the absence of wisdom. Wisdom has no value when character is not in place. So two parties in questions have devalued every wisdom in place because they have a rigid, stone, tight-fisted, and very, very hard characters. If these things are put in place and all these bad attitudes shifted aside, we will look amongst ourselves and see potential individuals. I said something here. I said, if a man could be called in Zimbabwe to come and settle crisis, and that person living in your country, is obvious that you have the solution in your house, but you don't want to use it. So we don't want to use what we have. That's the simple truth.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Kmer. I queue up with Mr. Temibako. Roundtable discussions have been held with the best conflict resolutions experts from within and about, suggesting solutions to this crisis to no avail. Barrister Tumfo Hali and his colleagues of Peace Crusaders are trying their bit of what many people had tried to convince the government set up, but I wonder if this time their voices will turn tables around. Paddy Brown is writing from Foncha Street in Bamenda. Good evening to you, Paddy Brown. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and the panelists said the population of the Northwest and Southwest are helpless because of, in the beginning, thousands of them protested and many were arrested. Akawo is writing from Bonaberi. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Thanks for always putting up programs sensitive to societal needs. The truth is the solution lies with the population. I love what the man from China is saying, that those with solutions have no power, and yet those power have no solution. Kudi Ihims, you agree with what Dr. Atem is saying, that those with solutions have no power, those with power have no solution?
And on top of that, I do agree to begin with. Most importantly, I will keep hammering on the fact that the solution lies with the population.
Okay.
You have used a very good analogy, the analogy of the bridge. It is the population that is going to decide the direction which these warring parties are taking us to. I'm going to bring in an idea of resistance and acceptance. It can be used as a means to measure how far the other options that we have been using are taking us. If you have been using this particular route, and the level of acceptance by this population should give you an idea of whether this is a right path, or whether you should continue or put in more effort on that path. If there is more resistance or more, I don't know how to put it, from the population, then it should also let you know that the path you are taking is questionable.
It's wrong. Right.
I want to ask this question. These solutions we are talking about, for whose good is it for the good of the government or the state? Is it for the good of the separatists? Or is it for the greater good of the population? Of course, it is for the greater good of the population. So they have to play a major part in proposing solutions, and not only proposing the solutions, but taking active part in doing the things, the steps that these solutions are being asked for. We have to drop egos. That is the first thing. Egos have to be dropped from all parties, even from the population. The population they must not have a particular way in which they think that this crisis must be solved. And they should not have a particular person from which they think that this crisis or the solution should come from. They shouldn't say, all right, the solution must come from the separatists, or the solution must come from the government, or the solution must come from NGOs or foreign powers. We have to drop our egos at every level, take responsibility at every step of the way. There should be checks and balances, and these checks and balances, they don't concern only the government, they don't concern only the separatists. Today we are talking about peace crusaders. If these peace crusaders come in and the population resists them, then no matter how skilled they are, no matter what method they use in solving these problems, then it will go in vain. But if the population accepts whatever proposition is being made, then we are going to have a leeway to solving the crisis.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to all in the studio. Apostle Ambe, always on top of it. I don't know what to say again about this crisis. So where is Mr. Elvis, the kangaroo man? We miss him. Enoch Sakwe is writing from Douala. The kangaroo man was here 2 days ago. Good evening, Mr. Liu and panel. I follow most of your discussions, and they are usually interesting. I believe Mr. Atemibako Bison talking about the population come out was live in September 2016, and yes, Pa Peter is writing from Limbe. Good evening, Mr. Liu. France is writing from Douala. The time for an internal mediator has long passed. We could use an African mediator. Cameroonians have already lost trust in themselves. Okay. I don't know whether that is not where the problem lies. Mr. Liu, the only thing that can stop the war is if the negotiation is about making the governance better. Dr. Simo, est-ce que vous avez aussi l'impression qu'il faut que les deux parties aussi réfléchissent sur ce qu'il faut faire, parce que nous parlons des individus, les Camerounais qui peuvent le faire, mais est-ce qu'il ne faut pas que les deux parties acceptent que ce n'est que les Camerounais, ce n'est que par les Camerounais que la solution peut venir?
Non, je crois que je vais me faire taper sur les doigts maintenant, mais il est important que
tu vas te faire
taper sur les doigts.
Ok, allez-y.
Il est important que je le dise très clairement. Moi, j'ai apprécié l'intervention du confrère, moi ce que j'ai pas suivi avec exactitude, lorsqu'il mettait en avant la force de la population. Oui, le peuple a un très grand rôle à jouer. D'ailleurs, ce peuple même est en train de jouer ce rôle. Parce que depuis le moment où le peuple a commencé à s'ouvrir un tout petit peu avec les forces de défense, à collaborer un tout petit peu avec les forces de défense, on a commencé à avoir des résultats intéressants. Parce que c'est le véritable problème que nous avons aujourd'hui, que nous avons eu dans cette crise. Cette absence de confiance-là. À un moment, on s'est rendu compte que le peuple, les populations étaient un peu égaré, perdu. On ne savait plus qui croire. Les forces de défense ou les séparatistes ou des gens qui sont dans les brousses. Et du coup, chacun se trouvait replié sur lui-même et enfermé dans sa maison. Et les résultats étaient ce que nous observions par le passé. Elle n'est peut-être pas terminée, mais on commence à observer une nette amélioration de la communication entre les populations et parfois les forces de défense, même si le prix est souvent très lourd, ça il faut le dire. On a souvent vu des jeunes qu'on a attrapés et décapités simplement parce qu'ils ont collaboré avec la police. C'est dommage, mais il y a déjà une communication, une collaboration qui est perceptible avec les forces de défense qui n'est pas à négliger. Maintenant, il est important qu'on dise aux citoyens, particulièrement de cette zone et même du Cameroun tout entier, que c'est la population, c'est le peuple camerounais qui doit se lever face à cette guerre-là. C'est pourquoi je me sens un peu gênée lorsqu'on parle de communication ou alors de discussion, de dialogue. On donne l'impression, alors on veut donner l'impression que l'État du Cameroun n'a rien fait jusqu'à aujourd'hui. Non, on ne peut pas remettre ou alors balayer du revers de la main le dialogue national qui a été fait. On ne peut pas le balayer. Même comme aujourd'hui, je suis pour un autre dialogue inclusif, c'est-à-dire où tous les Camerounais devraient se retrouver pour discuter de la question. On ne peut pas remettre en cause le statut spécial qui a été accordé par le chef de l'État. On ne peut pas remettre en cause des actions qui ont été menées pour, n'est-ce pas, l'amélioration, ou alors le retour à la paix dans cette partie du territoire, là, ce sont des actions menées par les populations. Maintenant, par le gouvernement, je veux dire, le chef de l'État. Maintenant, vivement que les populations acceptent ces initiatives, vivement que les populations acceptent cette vision et essayent de mesurer. Moi, je dis souvent, même lorsqu'on ne veut pas pardonner à quelqu'un, lorsqu'on regarde, on essaie de mesurer les conséquences, on se rend compte que non, le taux de conséquences est extrêmement élevé, les dégâts collatéraux sont extrêmement larges. Je crois qu'il est un moment de faire fi, comme il a dit à un moment, il a dit, la paix, parfois, on l'accepte pas parce qu'on la veut, mais parce qu'on se rend compte qu'elle est indispensable en ce moment.
Okay.
Je crois que c'est ce qu'on devrait faire.
Okay, Mr. Kum is writing from Womb. He says, those boys have missed their course the moment they started kidnapping for ransom. It killed the spirits of everyone, especially Bafut has been an obstacle to people. One cannot freely pass through Bafut without being afraid of being kidnapped. Let's caution these brothers who manifest such acts of to redress from it. Okay, Mr. Leo, please, Arman Kudi and hymns has pinpointed a lot of things which we must work on. Thanks, Valentine Paul. Okay, writing from Bomenda. This time around, you say, why are you discriminative in reading your SMS? No, I'm not discriminative. There are so many now. You cannot read all of them, please. Good evening to you people in the studio. Mr. Leo, everything in Cameroon concerning the crisis is hypocrisy. I think a referendum is the only part a normal civilian can play a role in the peace procedure. Okay, justice first before peace follow. Lontum is writing from Bomenda. Good evening. Mr. Leo, the CPDM lady is still on with the blame game. Can this attitude be a solution? Godlove GN is also writing from Bomenda. Fred from Bomenda, please, Mr. Leo, read my message. It's going to help. Let me read now so that you do not accuse me of selecting. Frederick from Bomenda, good evening, Mr. Leo, and your credible panelists. The first thing towards resolution, peace drive, is to identify all the separatist leaders and assemble them in a neutral ground and start a private dialogue with them towards a common agenda for Anglophone cause. Okay, I've read your message. Dr. Tata Emmanuel, we are looking at the situation as they are unfolding on ground here. Let's look at the civil society itself. As the civil society in Cameroon, as we've seen the church gather itself to wanting to position themselves as solution providers. The church, the civil society, have they themselves placed confidence on persons like yourself, or we have Apostle Ambe, we have the Tumfo Barrister Nico Hale. We are talking about, we have persons like Professor Willibrod Zengwa, who is in Yaoundé, peace crusaders and conflict experts. There are many of them. Have the civil society themselves highlighted, projected these persons as persons who have potentials in providing solutions or providing a middle ground for both sides?
Yes, Radio, thank you. Yes, of course, the civil society has always been writing. The civil society has always been active in Cameroon, but you see, because of the very strong politicization of the whole conflict, because you see, one of the reasons why this conflict has persisted so strongly is because politicians struggle to use it and score cheap political points. That is one of the reasons, because at one point in time, politicians will pull it into one direction. But of course, I believe that Barrister Tumfo can still work with the documents that Cardinal Tumi left up with, so that we can be able to get a leadership for Anglophones. So through that path, we can be able to work with other civil society actors and look at the way to solve this whole mess where we find ourselves. You see, one of the reasons why this crisis has persisted is due to the lack of solidarity from the rest of the country. Most often than not, when probably the head of state says something or does something or is about to do something, you find motion or support coming from left, from right. What that means is that that sense of solidarity is important to ensure national cohesion, to ensure national unity. But so far, you would agree with me that that solidarity is actually missing. So what that means is that the Anglophone Cameroon seems to find itself in a situation where it looks like nobody, there's that feeling, there's that perception which is created as a result of that absence of solidarity. They happen to feel that the others don't really care about their issue. It must also be important to state that so far, the posture of government communication has not really been the best. You would always look at this situation where government persons will come out and make statements that are unbelievable. You know, the other time I overheard someone saying that do we know how many times God has destroyed the world in order to create order? You see, statements like that go to throw a lot of fuel.
But those are statements. Those are statements by individuals and not the government. I'm not sure the government asked him to do that.
Well, yes, but you see, when I'm not saying that it was an official statement from the government, but you see, these are persons who come to TV stations and introduce themselves with political colors, with the ruling party, and then at the end of the day, you find them making statements like that. You are tempted to believe that those statements are related to the government. But I believe that I overheard one of the panelists saying that the population should be able to collaborate with the military. Of course, the population would want to collaborate with the military, but let's look at the natural context. You would expect naturally, would you expect naturally that the population should be able to take the military and point to their children to be killed? I mean, we find ourselves in a context where we should understand the natural connections that are there. These are people's children, despite the fact that they, due to one reason or the other, they have certain grievances. They are having their own way of looking at it. We have several thousand tons of ways we can approach this thing without necessarily carrying guns all around the whole place. I believe very strongly that, like I indicated much earlier, Barrister Tumfo Nico Hale can very much be able, because the Anglophones need leadership. If we even have to talk about the way forward to looking at the possibility for an inclusive dialogue, we would still need the Anglophones to have some form of a leadership so that we can have some form of direction, so we can have solutions that are lasting. Just like one of the other panels indicated, one of the other panelists indicated there, that the opinion of the people is key, is very important. How would you get the opinion of the people without putting the people together to form some leadership and then move into a dialogue where there should be some order? So it is only when this environment is created, it is only when the government expresses some form of goodwill. I'm not saying the government may not have a goodwill, but they should express it. They might have it, but so far it is not seen by the people that they have that goodwill. So if they can express the goodwill that they have, then I want to believe that it would be very possible for us to move towards a lasting peace.
Okay. Good evening to all the panelists. I think the population too are not safe, because if they go out to protest, their lives will be in danger from both sides unless a ceasefire declared. Mr. Peter is writing from Bamenda. Lots and lots of messages from Bamenda this evening. This one says, good evening, Mr. Leo. There are prophets and peacemakers in Cameroon, but their attempts towards the reconciliation has never been given the environment to do so. After Cardinal Tumi's recommendations were not heard, Mr. Leo, if the government were asking who are people to discuss with, the government is keeping the separatist leaders in prisons. Can the government not negotiate with them? The solution can only come from the factions, because the people are already with the stiff thought. When a person is killed, the rip is interpreted as resist. Okay. Cletus is writing from Douala. Good evening to you. World peace or peace on earth is the concept of an ideal state of happiness, freedom, and peace within and among all the people and nations on planet Earth. Is this true of British Southern Cameroon, sir? Are you sure Cameroon like peace? I love you all in the studio. Continue doing your work. God will bless you all. Clovis is writing from Bamenda. No, but you are living in the United Arab Emirates. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Leo. CPDM is a party that has a lot of work to do. Pa Oyoyo is writing from Bamenda, from Douala. Dr. Simo is loving. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I enjoy the show. But Mr. Nico Halley is exhibiting because he'll eventually have much work to do. Jam Bravis is writing from Douala. We are going over to listen to Barrister Nico Halley Tumfo, who was addressing those who came for the campaign against hate speech. I'm sure that was on the second day of their stay in Bamenda, Northwest Regional Capital.
Office, you read everything for the 5 years that you will be there. You read the documents, you read the voice, you read the women, you read the men, you read even your family, you read just everything. That is our mentality. Isn't it sad that a region like ours that is blessed with a lot of resources, and the average Northwesterner is very intelligent. They perform so well in universities and in other areas. Unfortunately, they are morally bankrupt. Because if we are not morally bankrupt, this region will be a reference region. Look at the roads in town. Look at our roads. And all of these lapses are a result of what we call a nursery for hate speech and xenophobia. And that's why today there should be no taboo topic. When you take the microphone, speak out your mind. It's not a political party. Unfortunately for your son, Nico Halley, I do nation building on the terms of the motto, peace, work, fatherland. That is my political party. That is my political party. Because I crusade peace, I work for my nation, and I love my people. That's what should happen. No civilian has the right to kill somebody, and no soldier, no military. You don't have the right to kill. The military is there to protect the people. This thing should be clear. The civilians are there to respect the military, but the military, as a matter of fact, should do its job professionally. So we're here, we are saying that both parties should build Cameroon, the civilian and the armed forces. We should build Cameroon.
Okay, that was a tip for Barrister Nico Halley. You follow up with what he's saying. He's standing on neutral ground. Member of Bilingualism Commission. He takes no side. He says that people should feel free to express themselves. There are no taboo subjects, and that nobody has the right to take his stand on what. What are we talking about here?
He said something very striking. He said his political party is Peace Walk Fatherland. I'm sure the politicking behind this war is stronger than the war. And until we appreciate the fact that what is manifesting in the field cannot be compared to what the politics behind the war is doing, we will never arrive at destination. There is a bigger war compared to what they are carrying in the field as arms. The war is not the battle between two persons carrying guns in the field. The war is those who are politicking, these individuals who are carrying the guns in the field. And I'm sure if we go back to treat this war effectively, you will realize that what we are fighting is not an armed conflict, it's a political combat. And until we deal with the roots, the roots of this matter, we will never be able to solve this problem. What is happening in the field is the outcome of what paper and pen did. Let us get back to what paper and pen is doing. Then we can be able to see what is happening in the field. Until we deal with the roots of a tree, the branches will always look fresh and the fruits will always look attractive. The result of what you have in the field is the fruits and the branches of the roots. And we have been dealing with this thing, trying to cut the branches, thinking that it will solve the problem. When you cut the branches, they grow fresher and they produce better fruits. Let us get back to the roots and kill the roots. The other thing he said there, he said the civilians are to respect the military and the military is to protect the civilian. I'm sure these two parties have misplaced their priorities. The civilians don't respect the military and the military does not protect the civilians, which means it's a misplacement of priority and they have lost their assignment. These two individuals must be schooled to understand that they owe it as obligation for the civilians to respect the military, and the military responsibility is not to kill civilians, is to protect the civilians. I'm sure until these two parties are schooled and we deal with the roots of where we are coming from, because the politics behind the war is stronger than the war. I told you one time on this platform that I met a man who was doing nail business. And I said, what do you do? He said, I'm doing nail business. I said, only nail business for you are prosperous like that? He said, I'm not doing nail business. It is a business of the nail, not the nail business. There is a business of the nail. So there is a politics of this war, and there is this war. And the politics of the war is stronger than the war. And until we deal with the politics of the war will never stop. We are dancing in between separatists, armed fighters, and the ones with the military carrying gun. The separatists and the armed fighters are a byproduct of what politics is doing.
That's a consequence.
That's the consequence. So the warriors actually are not those who are in the field exchanging bullets against each other. The warriors are those who are dealing with papers and pen. The real war is on paper and pen. And until we get back to the place of paper and pen and solve it, guns will never leave the field. So I think let us go and handle the politics of the war. What is the politics? The politics is that there are four things when it comes to the politics of the war. Number one, the war has become an industry. An industry where poor persons are making billions they had never seen in their lives. That's the first politics of the war. A man who had never seen 50 million and suddenly war breaks out. He sees 50 million. He will never want such a war to stop. That is the real warrior, not the man carrying the gun. The people in the field are sacrificial lambs which are being used for the interest of this Let me not use an adjective that can provoke something. They are used for the interest of these greedy individuals. So the politics of the war is stronger than the war. That's the first thing, industry. Number two, individuals who had never in this life been known, had opportunities to manage budget in this country. They have stepped into a place of managing budget. The third thing, there are individuals who were originally thieves and criminals and were hiding and operating from the background. The war has given them legal license to carry gun publicly and to steal and to kidnap. The kidnappers of the war did not start today. They have been kidnappers long, but they were considered illegal. Now the war has given them legality. So that's the politics. And if we don't deal with these various political points of this war, let us forget what is happening in the field. A military was shot today, a number was shot tomorrow. That's not the war. The war is not in the exchange of bullets in the field. The war is in the politics behind the scene.
Okay, the war is in the politics behind the scheme. Tumfo Nico Hale actually is asking the question as to why the conditions of the roads in Bamenda are the way they are. Very, very hard-working industrious persons, but when you look at the town, it does not reflect who the people are. To say that they are morally very bankrupt, and he's asking. I'm sure the video was cut some way, but he's saying that there are many persons who would not tell the truth to the President of the Republic because they are afraid to lose their opportunities and their positions.
Yeah, the political class. I think they are not being honest with themselves, and they are not being honest with the population, the people that they have been called to serve. You agree with me? I think most, if not all, members of government and the people of the political class have probably relocated with their families to safer zones, more developed zones, areas where there's more opportunities, and it doesn't really matter to them how the town and villages in the northwest and southwest looks like. They would want to play their politicking, as Apostle has rightly said, and protect their progeny, protect their interests. That is why at the beginning of these discussions we said the time for hypocrisy is over, and we have to hold ourselves accountable, first of all, because it doesn't make any sense for you to try to hold someone else accountable when you are not holding yourself accountable. What role does the population have to play in all of this? Do we ask enough questions to the people that are representing us? Do we? Or do we accept the situation? And we know the popular say, it's Cameroon. So I think that it's time for I keep saying, the population to step in. We begin to do an autocritic, see what we can do at an individual level in the civil society, through our associations, through our meetings, through our developmental corporations and things like that. With this, we are going to begin by holding ourselves accountable. Then we're now going to have the moral right or the moral obligation to hold the people that are in the position of power, access to maybe the resources and decision making. We have to hold them accountable. But we cannot be holding someone accountable when you don't hold yourself accountable. You have to ask yourself daily.
Because he said somewhere that we all are responsible for what?
We are all. We all are. You have to ask yourself, we should put checks and balances. I keep saying this. What have we achieved after this week, after this month? What do we hope to achieve by September, by December? Then when we get to that point, we go back to this balance sheet and see the progress we have made, whether we have progressed or we have regressed. But everyone has to accept that they have a role to play. First of all, individually. Then, if you play a role individually, of course, it's going to show. The results are going to show at the broader level.
Okay. Docteur Simon, vous avez suivi le Tumfo, c'est Nico Hale qui dit à la population qu'ici aujourd'hui, il n'y a pas de sujet tabou, que chacun se sent à l'aise et que chacun s'exprime comme il entend le faire. Hein? Andrew? Okay. You're telling me that, Andrew? Yes, I like. Are you sure?
I can answer.
Twice, not once.
Hey, Andre.
No, go ahead. It's okay. Go
No,
ahead.
I know that
When I
from
talk,
her.
nobody
No,
should disturb me.
I know that from her. I'm going to Andre.
No, but I've been missed twice. Twice. I've been
As you
I've been
intervene,
actually for 30 minutes only watching you people.
Okay,
Which is okay.
Doctor. Before I come to you, let me go to.
No, it's okay. Go ahead with doctor. It's all right. No, seriously, go ahead.
You're a gentleman.
No, it's okay.
Ladies before
Yeah,
gentlemen.
it's all right, no
Ok. Oui, vous l'avez suivi. Il n'y a pas de sujet tabou. Il faut que chacun se sente. Mais on dirait que on dit que ça ne se passe souvent pas, hein, mais on voit un bâtonnier qui dit que chacun se sent à l'aise de dire ce qu'il veut, et que les gens soient sincères, de rechercher la paix et de résoudre le problème qui sévit dans nos deux régions.
Oui, à l'entendre, nous l'avons dit, 5 années, c'est déjà beaucoup. Et je crois que c'est encore trop. C'est trop. Donc il est temps vivement que la devise du Cameroun essaye de retentir. Paix, travail, patrie. Ça, il est temps que cette devise retentisse dans l'esprit de tout un chacun, que ce soit fait de tous les Camerounais, parce que c'est les Camerounais qui les questionnent aujourd'hui. Ce n'est pas des individus de la diaspora qui ne passeront le temps qu'à nous tromper. Ce ne sont pas les ONG, parce que ils ne vivent pas la réalité ambiante que nous vivons aujourd'hui. Lorsque des enfants meurent dans des écoles, nous l'avons vu. Lorsque nos sœurs sont violées et déchiquetées, morcelées comme des petits morceaux de viande, ce ne sont pas les leurs. Donc je crois qu'il faudrait que la devise du Cameroun reprenne surface, que l'esprit de paix à tout prix, je dis bien, et à tous les prix.
Oui, mais beaucoup de gens se demandent pourquoi pendant ce temps, si on n'a pas pu utiliser les gens comme ça.
Non, on ne se pose pas la question. Ça donne l'impression que les personnes qui ont été utilisées n'étaient pas à leur place. Non. Moi, j'ai vu le cardinal Tumi se battre comme il pouvait.
Mais il n'a pas été donné l'opportunité, hein?
Oui, on ne lui a peut-être pas donné l'opportunité, mais il s'est rendu compte qu'il pouvait le faire. Moi, j'ai vu, comment on appelle, le président du SDF se battre à chaque fois, pas une fois, pas deux fois. J'ai vu même le président, des leaders de partis d'opposition. J'ai vu le président Cabral Libi aller essayer de résoudre la crise à sa manière, donc apporter sa contribution à la paix, la paix aussi attendue et chère que nous voulons. Donc c'est des actions individuelles. Il ne faudrait pas que parce que l'État du Cameroun ou parce que le chef de l'État a donné une plateforme à un individu que l'on pense que non, c'est lui la clé de miracle. Non, c'est pas la clé de voûte. C'est pas la clé de voûte. Tous les citoyens camerounais ont un rôle à jouer dans l'équilibre ou le retour de la paix dans cette partie du Cameroun. Moi, je l'ai toujours dit. Okay. Je dis bien, tous les Camerounais ont un rôle à jouer. Et lui-même, cet avocat aujourd'hui, pour qu'il réussisse parfaitement sa mission, ça, il faudrait qu'on se le dise. Il faudrait que tous les Camerounais soient derrière eux. Et commencer par les populations du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest. S'ils ne sont pas derrière ces actions, rassurez-vous, tout ce qu'il fera sera voué à l'échec. Tout ce qu'il fera. Moi, j'ai vu le docteur se dire tout à l'heure qu'il serait difficile que les populations exposent leurs propres enfants. Oui, on s'en est rendu compte que parfois les mamans avaient le cœur émietté, aller vers la police ou alors protéger leurs enfants, mais lorsqu'ils faisaient ce qui n'est pas bon. Mais je dis, lorsqu'on essaie de mesurer les dégâts aujourd'hui, on se rend compte que la seule solution, c'est de se retourner vers la justice, c'est de se retourner vers les forces de défense de l'ordre, même si par moment il y en a des brebis galeuses, on en a vu, c'est de faire confiance au gouvernement, c'est de faire confiance aux populations et d'accompagner toute personne qui a une intention positive.
Comme ceux qui ont fait ce qu'ils ont fait à Bonamoussa d'hier, ou c'était avant-hier.
Oh, c'est dommage. Et là, je pense que c'est un autre débat qu'on aura le temps de spéculer là-dessus.
Andrew Natemebako, we're looking at these guys who have a lot to offer. We can talk about many of them. We have somebody like your father, yes, who came out and was criticized. He's the vice president of the regional council, regional assembly for the southwest region, was criticized by his president for coming out to tell the world that what we were promised in the special status is not what we are receiving. But we have persons like Tumfo Barrister Nico Halley, we have the likes of Senator Mbila Mukichas who are speaking out. Why have they been neglected all this while? Is it also because the government thought that they could do it their way, and then the separatists themselves are looking to the international community?
Well, Mr. Leo, let me take this question from a different approach.
Okay.
You see, when a democracy does not give the people right to their own economy and does not give the people right to their own currency, that democracy proves that it favors but one side. We are talking here of Cameroon, where we are in a civil conflict in a two region. And we have parties which are involved in this process and all of this a crisis that has hit the nation, including the pandemic. We do not only have the armed separatist fighters, we do not only have the masses, which are called the population, we do not only have the government, but we also have the presence of the Western nation, which is France in Cameroon, which no one can deny. Now, when you find the people who are dancing a dance that makes a mockery of their own mother, it's another sign that there is something which is wrong somewhere. To see Cameroonians who are dancing a dance which has become a mockery to their own nation, it tells you that something here is wrong. Now, let me try to highlight something here when we talk about the military respecting the population and protecting the population, and the population respecting the military. You see, a military can only respect a population that is united. It's impossible for a military to respect a population that is divided. And this is where the major challenges that have been always insisting on until we come to understand that this armed conflict, it's the common man that has the problem here. All the parties, the three parties which I'm going to name, all of them have their interest in this armed conflict, and they will need that population to achieve their objectives. You have the armed separatist fighters who are one party. You have the government, which is another party, and each of these parties got their own interest. And then you also have the presence of our former colony, a colonialist, which is another party which also has an interest in this war. Now, if you look at all of these three parties, their main objective in achieving their goal is at the expense and the detriment of the population, which means here that the population is almost like they are going to take a decision whether they want to become a collateral damage, or they are going to take a decision to man up themselves and decide a future and a better way for themselves. So here stands where we are, Mr. Liu, that it is hard to understand whereby you are in a nation where the policies, the regulations, the constitution is a one which makes its own citizens to run out of their own nation. It's a one that makes its own citizens to go into how will I call them, internally displaced people and refugees in other nations. What is the problem whereby we have intelligent human beings in areas of leadership, decision making, well-educated people? What is wrong that they cannot manage a nation which is giving to them, bring peace and develop the lives of the people? What here is the challenge? So to me, I will keep saying that, Mr. Liu, that Cameroonians will have to understand what is really happening here. And until we begin to learn to understand what is truly happening in Cameroon and in many other African countries, that is looking beyond the box of just the scope of Northwest and Southwest. Like I said, it's difficult for you to achieve a cooperation from a people that by themselves they are divided. The people of the Northwest and Southwest, as a matter of fact, both of these people that we are crying as a population which is going through this untold suffering, are not even in one term. So to start with, we must start learning on how to seek solidarity amongst ourselves in order to start building the right how will I call it, platforms to achieve what we are looking for. If we do not have this solidarity, no matter all the how will I put it, the attempt that parties, civil society, whoever will make in bringing a lasting solution to these two regions, it will not apply because, Mr. Liu, division has always been the root core of control and rule. So we have to understand that, Mr. Liu, this is very, very important that Cameroonians understand what I'm about to say. You see, Africa has entered into a new level of what I consider to be more damaging than the transatlantic slave trade. You see, the Bible makes us to understand that what led the children of Israel to go into slavery in Egypt were not because the Egyptians took them as slaves. It was because of a word that Abraham gave as a revelation for us to understand what voluntary slavery is all about. Abraham said unto the people, you shall go into a land which is not yours, and you shall live there for 400 years as slaves. Because the sins of the Amorites and the Jebusites, the 10 nations that occupied the land of Canaan, because of their occupation of a land which did not belong to them, caused the children of Israel to go into voluntary slavery in Egypt. What am I simply trying to say here? These are the principles that the colonialists had understood long ago before they came in with the Bible. They brought the Bible as a chaff. They have removed all the biblical principles, applying them, and that's what is working for them. All those ancestral cares of what we claim, it does not happen with them because they are applying biblical principles, and that's why we realize that even in our world today, evil is doing well than good. Evil people live longer than good people. How do you explain? Because they are applying biblical principles. Until we begin to understand that the occupation and the presence of our former colonial master and his multinational corporations in Cameroon is what is causing this civil conflict. It's what is causing Cameroonians to run away out of their country. It's what is causing all these divisions in our country. What explains the fact, Mr. Yo, that we are in a country where all what we are complaining is not affecting them?
Okay. Good evening, Mr.
It's only affecting the people of that nation.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Liu. Late Cardinal Tumi tried organizing a conference which was seeked at finding solutions to the crisis, but permission to do that was not granted. Do you think if any other peace crusader tries to resolve the crisis would be granted permission? Maybe they have learned lessons. The government and armed groups are the only ones that can decide to fix things. It's Rene writing from Bafoussam. Good evening to you. Rene. Good evening, Mr. Kum. The head of state is the #1 peace crusader. Let him re-strategize and use peaceful words. He has been incommunicado. Good evening to you too. Good evening, Mr. Kum. New phony from Yaoundé, Mr. Liu. It is still because of marginalization that they are still having the Northwest and Southwest. The day Magiza's war in the West lasted long. Okay. Yes, we should not be talking about that. Good evening, Mr. Liu. If CPDM was a computer, I say that the system is corrupted. Atinga is writing from Douala. Mr. Liu, this is Elad writing from Victoria, that's Limbe. I want to add to the other viewer who talked about the boys missing track of what they were normally supposed to do and instead kidnapping their own people. When a statement like that is coming up is to tell us that population had a track and or a direction to where all the population was pushing to go with this crisis, and so the other rascals started kidnapping for ransom. So what we have to be asking is, what is the initial direction this Northwest Southwest population have in mind, and to take this crisis to is from that point. Okay, Mr. Elad, good evening to you. When the message is too long, I may not be able to read all of it. Stephen Mwambo, who is a member of our forum, has written this. He says he's in Boya. Mr. Liu, if this crisis started, it is because of Mr. Biya, and if it has not come to an end, it is because of Mr. Biya. I have always blamed diasporans for starting this war, but I blame Mr. Biya for not bringing it to an end. It's a shame that the president is yet to visit any of these affected regions and see the pain of the people, or even come to galvanize the military. The president simply doesn't care about the pain of his people what and who stops him from calling every warring faction for dialogue? Only Cameroon through Biya can call for a dialogue or a ceasefire. Okay, Stephen Mwambo, good evening to you. You're writing from Boya, Southwest Regional Capital. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I pray Cameroonians should see things the way Apostle Valentine sees it. I really appreciate his opinion, not only on this crisis problem. He's a true example of a nation builder. I hear you, sir. Kmer Emmanuel, writing from Yaoundé. Oui, docteur.
Oui, justement, j'ai entendu un message. Je crois que tout le monde, c'est important et que je revienne là-dessus. Oui. J'insiste encore sur la durée jusqu'aujourd'hui, 5 années. Et lorsqu'on veut essayer d'établir, de dénombrer les dégâts, je vous dis c'est énorme. Oui. Pour qu'un citoyen doué d'essence aujourd'hui vienne vous dire cette crise, elle a commencé parce que c'est le chef, en fait si je veux prendre ces mots, c'est M. Biya et elle persiste parce que c'est M. Biya. Non. Non.
Pourquoi est-ce que le président n'est pas descendu? Il blâme oui, les gens de la diaspora d'avoir commencé, mais qu'est-ce qui empêche le président de faire?
Oui, mais il ne faudrait pas qu'on se focalise sur des détails. Le chef de l'État, tout le monde des Camerounais, on le connaît. On a l'impression, ou alors je me trompe, vous allez me le dire, on a l'impression que le seul espace de résidence au Cameroun, c'est à Yaoundé. Mais ça ne voudrait pas dire qu'il ne consulte pas, qu'il ne... comment je vais dire, qu'ils ne fréquentent pas tout le territoire national. Vraiment, à un moment, acceptons le système de fonctionnement d'un individu. On a un chef de l'État qui est construit dans une division sociale du travail. Nous savons combien de fois le chef de l'État a envoyé soit le Premier ministre, soit un membre, quel que soit le membre de ce... On ne peut pas dénombrer le nombre de membres du gouvernement qui ont été envoyés pour des questions liées à la crise anglophone. Je peux comprendre que pour tout enfant, à un moment, on a bien envie de voir le père. Ça, je peux comprendre. Mais lorsque nous savons que notre père fonctionne comme ça, je crois qu'il est de bon temps qu'on fasse avec et qu'on trouve ensemble les meilleures solutions. Si on se met à spéculer sur « il n'est pas venu », je vous assure qu'il y a des régions où j'ai bien peur qu'il ne soit, pour ne pas dire ne soit jamais passé, ou alors soit passé qu'une seule fois. Mais ça ne voudrait pas dire qu'il ne gère pas les problèmes de ces différentes régions-là. Donc on essaye d'arrêter, moi ce sont des faux fuyants, qu'on arrête ces éléments-là et qu'on se mette, n'est-ce pas, de manière solidaire derrière toutes les personnes qui, de bonne foi et avec sincérité, veulent résoudre cette crise anglophone et qu'on arrête les faux débats.
Il faut qu'on arrête le faux débat. Oui. Mr. Liu, thanks so much for the many programs initiated on my Media Prime TV. Thanks also to Apostle Ambe, who has taken the lion nature. His father, Bishop David Oyedepo, in speaking truth to power. This is Pastor Promise, writing from Boya. He is a pastor with Winners Chapel International. Also extend my greetings to Madam Pastor. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Only France can ask Biya to stop this war. Christopher is writing from Bamenda. We move over to China to get to Dr. Tata Emmanuel. Dr. Tata Emmanuel, why do you think peace crusaders like yourselves and the likes of Tumfo Barrister Nico Hali have been despised all these years?
Yes, thank you, Brother Joe. Like we've all been saying in the studio there, politics or politicians have hijacked the peace that we were enjoying in Cameroon. You see, you would find politicians talking left and right about very trivial things like talking about the fighters in the bush and all that. All those things are very trivial things. The politicians are, I can say, in my opinion, are part of the problem. They are the ones actually fueling the war, because if you listen to the language, the blame game, they are supposed to be the ones who are supposed to take responsibility and see that there is peace, or peace comes back. But every now and then they're blaming each other. So I think that, you see, the civil society, peace crusaders should be given that opportunity, that possibility to be able to liaise, to be able to create some sanity, especially in the way in which there is communication between the state institutions or the government itself and, of course, the people. Because guess what? The economic consequences that will result from this conflict may even be worse than the war itself that we're talking about right now. I'm most often than not, I listen to government communication persons or politicians keep on blaming people on Facebook or social media. I mean, it is important that we get to realize that the government of Cameroon is not on Facebook. It is not Facebook that is leading Cameroon. Cameroonians did not vote for people on Facebook. The question we should be asking ourselves is, what are these persons on Facebook telling our people that we are not telling them the better things? Are these persons telling our people some truth that we are depriving from our people? That is, we should take that responsibility. That if our people's attention is too focused on those on Facebook, which we did not vote for, what that means is the people on Facebook are definitely telling the people, our people, something that we are not telling them. So you see, Barrister Tumfor is not the first person coming up to actually make himself available. Listen to what, remember what Barrister Bala spoke about. Barrister Bala had warned the government that please listen to the Anglophones, because there will be a time that you're going to come and say federalism, and the people will say we don't want it anymore. But what happened? They didn't take him seriously. Now listen, remember what Honorable Wiba in the House of Parliament said, that if you do not pay attention to the pain and the suffering of the Anglophones, you would not recognize Cameroon in a few months or a few years. What happened? Nothing was done. So you begin to ask yourself, can a solution actually come from Cameroon? Yes, a solution can actually come from Cameroon, because we believe that there is still that possibility. After we've learned, it's assumed that all these experiences, people have learned, lives have been lost, and it's not over yet. It is time that the government should begin to give a listening ear. The tone of talking, the context of talking should begin to express itself to show that willingness. That, because to be honest, I'm not saying the government is not showing willingness, but it's not willing, but I'm saying that the government is not showing that willingness. Let it be made clear to the people that the government is actually willing. How can the government do that? Of course, you create the environment. Why not announce some form of amnesty so that Cameroonians who are elsewhere can come and have a seat and talk about the problems that's facing Cameroonians? Why not release those who were those persons that were released were arrested in the context of the conflict? Why not show something so that the way forward, which is looking for searching. Somebody indicated there that Southwest and Northwest elites or Southwest and Northwest are not together. They are together. All that they need is leadership, because there are no leaders. If they were leaders, these leaders, the role of those leaders will be to actually make sure that these people blend together so that they can have one voice with which they can actually speak and find lasting solution to the challenge that is facing Cameroon today. But if we continue to just throw words at each other, throw insults at each other, blame each other, there is going to be no way we are going to get out of these issues. So yes, it is a good move that Barrister Nico is making. Like I indicated much earlier, it would be good for him to work with the documents that Cardinal Tumi had left, with a team that Cardinal Tumi was working with, so that we can be able to actually demonstrate another move. Probably, why not take up the conference, the All Anglophone conference that Cardinal Tumi was advocating for? Why not give it a second try? If the government can also express its willingness. Look, I always say that it is very easy to handle the political challenge that is in Cameroon. It's not a secret to all of us that this is as a result of the fact that the head of state, I mean, there's nothing wrong in saying that the head of state is quite aged and he's tired. There's nothing wrong in that.
for us to continue to insist on this thing that, oh, the head of state cannot do this, he is doing this by delegation, all that kind of language is what makes people to think that, we all are not able to see each other. We can see that the head of state is an aged person. We are not saying that he's not capable, but we are simply saying that, yes, let's respect his age. Let's also be able to give him the support. Let us also work with the people that can give the support that he requires. Let's not say things that are not realistic. Let's not say things that are not realistic.
Doctor. Apostle Ambi Valentin Ngwa, is it many persons actually think that we do not have what it takes to deliver, and looking out to maybe the AU, the UN, the African Union, La Francophonie, and a host of others, are we not despising? They say that the solution of what we always we always seek is always around of us. We just need to take we just need to take a little bit of time to discover where the solution is.
We are talking about international organizations being the hope. The issue, we should take an analysis of what they have first of all ever solved as solutions or problems in the society before we can be able to rely on them. You must follow someone's track record to be able to count on him. What is the track record of these so purportedly called international organizations? What have they done? We have seen many cases in Africa where individuals have taken practical steps to solve those problems. These organizations have not helped solve any problem. And that's the truth. There is an African proverb that says, the youths may walk faster, but the elders know the way. Things become very complicated when elders lost the way. And we are in that situation in Cameroon that we do not want to accept that our elders have lost the way. We have elderly statesmen in this country who have lived in this country. They know the reality of this problem since in the 60s. They are very, very vested with information as far as the challenge is concerned. And they know what to do to solve this problem, but they have refused deliberately. You see, knowing something is one thing. Being willing to engage what you know is another problem. I think we do not lack knowledge in Cameroon. We do not even lack human resource to make this dream a reality. The problem is we have bad faith, unwillingness, as well as rigid attitudes. No matter how we struggle to twist this thing, there are Cameroonians from all the regions of this country who have solution to this problem. And I have said that the way we have been wired in Africa, the way we have been oriented in Africa, we sometimes believe that what we produce here is not good. That is the reason why we will send people to technical schools in Cameroon and call Chinese to come and construct roads. We will send doctors to queues and fly abroad to go and treat ourselves. Tell us we sew clothes in Africa, we'll go and buy Italian suits. We have names of suits that our children know. They don't even know the ashibis we saw in Africa. You will hear a child will tell you Gucci. Gucci is an African, it's not an African mark, but every child in every hole knows Gucci. Gucci is an Italian mark. That tells you that we have been oriented to believe that nothing good comes out of. If we cannot believe in the products we have here, how can we believe in the talents we have here? If we cannot believe in the human resource we have here, we cannot even believe in the drugs we produce here. And those drugs we drink from abroad, they are taken from here and processed there and brought back to us. We don't believe in our naturopath healers. We are counting on some technological machine abroad. How can we believe? So we practically don't believe in ourselves. And this is where the complex is. The solution to the Mozambican problem in 1985 was Alberto Chisano. There was UN existing, Francophonie existing, AU existing, Commonwealth existing, and there was a crisis of rebels fighting in Mozambique, in Maputo. It was Alberto Chisano who used his own initiative to solve that problem. Where was all these organizations? Where were they? The truth is that we have a problem with our wiring. We have a problem with our wiring. How do you explain that Zimbabweans will see a peace broker in Tumfo Nico Hale and Cameroonians cannot see a peace broker in him? How do you explain that bodies in the world will call Bala to come and discuss on peace issues and Cameroonians don't see that? How do you explain that our professors live here to go and lecture in universities in other countries on peace and conflict management? It means other countries see the relevance of those professors and we do not see them. We have them just to teach in our university and we don't have them to solve practical problems. A professor is not a lecturer. A professor is a solution provider. I think we should change the perspective of who is a professor in Cameroon. We don't have professors in Cameroon that give us practical solutions to problems. We have the ones who lecture. You are lecturing what you cannot teach. You are a signboard, not a mentor. A signboard directs you where to go and doesn't go there. It is a mentor that holds your hand to where it's going. So we have signboard professors. I'm sorry to talk this way to the academic class of this country. All those who are teaching international relations, peace and conflict management in this country and cannot step up to the game to give the skill and the intelligence they have to solve this crisis, then you guys are all signboard who have refused to act as mentors. The challenge we have is that we don't believe in what we have. I can tell you that Mr. Leo is in Cameroon here doing a great work. But we are going to talk about Christina Amampo in CNN. Amampo doesn't do what Leo is doing. Until we get back to start appreciating indigenous talent and skills, we will always be looking for something outside which is here. There is an adage in Nigeria. So what you are looking for in Sokoto, it is in your Sokoto.
Okay. Yes, but the Peace Crusaders themselves and the conflict experts, do you think this is also the time for them to come together, and why not come out openly to tell the government and the separatists that we are ready? Why look for what is already available at home?
Absolutely. I was going to talk about institutionalized conflict, not ethnic conflict. Because when we disagree in an institutionalized manner, maybe through civil society organizations, through associations. A civil society organization, for example, will come up with a particular kind of ideology which will not only appeal to a particular ethnic group or a particular set of people from a particular region of the country. We have many of those such associations, for example, the Peace Crusaders and things like that. Anyone who agrees with that kind of ideology is going to align themselves under that institution. This will now make it less obvious for people to be targeted, because you are not going to target someone in terms of their ethnicity, but you are going to target an ideology which, you know, there is no, okay, we have a lot of Francophones that are married to people from the Northwest region or from the Southwest region. There's no way that you can make those people or their kids to be half Francophone and half Anglophones. There's no way. But we can come together in a particular kind of ideology and then present these ideas as a way of solving the crisis. So the reason, like you have just said, why maybe some of these Peace Crusaders are not heard of a lot is because they don't come to the fore in an institutionalized manner. They come to the fore as individuals. It is true, they have these strong personalities, they have these track records, and they have all these awards and everything to prove that they have the capabilities to lead us to something substantial. But then they need to come together and then present an ideology which will not only be bought by the people of the Northwest and the Southwest region, but will also be bought by people across the Mungo. You know, if you are coming as our most esteemed barrister, Tumfondi Kohali, maybe just for the fact that it's someone from the Northwest region, there might be one or two people who will say, all right, I'm not going to align to this idea. But if you are coming as an idea, as an institution, a movement, it will be easier for these different conflicts to be presented, and then we can easily look for solutions in a collective manner. So what I want to highlight here is we should shun individualism, because more often than not, it is easier to align behind an ideology than behind the person.
Okay, we have just 5 minutes to go. Dr. Simo, qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire pour que tous ceux qui sont les stakeholders dans la guerre, et comment qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire avec la participation massive des gens comme ça, ils sont nombreux dans le Cameroun. Il y a même l'ancien gouverneur à Hamad, qui a beaucoup et pourquoi ne pas utiliser des gens comme ça?
Non, je reprends encore quelque chose de pertinent. Le Cameroun reste et restera un et indivisible. Là, déjà, il faudrait qu'on le sache. Quel que soit le vent ou la qualité du vent qui souffle, le Cameroun restera. Parce que c'est un pays qui a énormément de particularités. Personne n'a dit le contraire, non? Non, je veux déjà qu'on aille sur cet élément-là. Il a beaucoup de particularités. C'est une Afrique en miniature. C'est pas pour rien qu'on le dit. C'est pas pour rien qu'on le dit. De par son nombre sa culture, l'ethnie et tout ce qui va avec, il y a un ensemble d'éléments qui donnent, n'est-ce pas, une particularité au Cameroun. Nous sommes peut-être tombés, mais il faudrait que l'on se relève. Et là, je parle de nous, de tous. On a des individus, ils ne sont pas les seuls. Moi, je vous ai parlé des personnes qui ont tendu, qui ont essayé de faire quelque chose par le passé. Et ces choses n'ont pas été moindres. Mais au-delà de toutes les choses que les personnes ont tenté de manière individuelle, il faudrait à chaque fois reconnaître les actions menées par le chef de l'État. Moi, je le dis avec honnêteté. C'est pas parce que je suis du RDPC peut-être aujourd'hui que je le dis, mais il faudrait reconnaître les actions qu'il a menées. Parce que ce sont les actions également qui contribuent d'une manière ou d'une autre au rétablissement de la cohésion sociale et de la paix dans cette partie du territoire. Donc je crois qu'après 5 années et lorsqu'on fait le calcul, le bilan, on se rend compte que le bilan est extrêmement lourd et que c'est nous, le peuple camerounais, qui perdons. Donc je crois qu'il est temps que l'on soit vrai avec nous-mêmes, que l'on soit juste avec nous-mêmes et que l'on adopte clairement cette sincérité qu'a développé Barista tout à l'heure, et que tous les Camerounais, pour ne pas dire tout le peuple du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest, se rejoignent, ou alors le rejoignent dans sa position pour qu'ensemble une solution rapide soit trouvée.
Okay, this one says, good evening, Mr. Liu, and your panelists, and more power to your elbows. I sincerely love your program. I respect Apostle Lambe for always speaking the truth too and not politics. Adrinatim Ibako, how do we get more and more? He raised the issue that persons should not just sit back, but they should come out, they should come to they should take the front line and actually speak out and show their disposition and willingness to wanting to take action. How do we get more and more of them? Should they form a union? And yes, that cuts across the world.
Mr. Leo, every human being is born a leader. And what makes the difference between a good leader and a leader who is not leading out of a good political will is based on the unity of the people. Moses was a good leader, but Moses could not deliver his assignment because he faced with a divided people. The quality of a leader comes from the unity of the people that the leader is leading. So we can say that the leaders have not done their job well. What is the role of the population? It is difficult and impossible to lead a divided people. Whether how good and called by God you are, you can't lead the people. So the force and the energy, the driving force of a good leader comes from the unity of his people. So what I'm saying here is that it is going to take the collaboration of the Cameroonians themselves, way back from the 60s and to where we are. We are running down this road of democracy for 60 years and still talking about leadership. Where is the cooperation of the Cameroonians? Is there any Cameroonian who is ignorant about how we gain independence in Cameroon? The answer is no. We need to get to that place where Cameroonians become masters of their own destinies. We are tired of seeking who best is going to be our leader. When a people decides to lead themselves, a leader emerges out of them.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu and co-apostle Ambe is right. Until we value what we have, we are going nowhere. Keep it up. Mohamadu is writing from Yaoundé. Your last contribution, Dr. Tata Emmanuel from China. What should be the way out? Are you guys going to start thinking about coming together? That is identifying all peace crusaders, conflict experts in Cameroon, and seeing what you can do to help the population out. It is true. He says that we need also the mobilization of the population, but something should start from somewhere.
Yes, of course. Coming together, of course, as has been emphasized there, is always a very important thing to do, because when we come together, we are able to speak in one accord. But like I indicated earlier, it will take the state, the managers of the state, to create the environment, because you realize that they have been outlined a couple of initiatives that have been expressed in the past. The To Me initiative, which was expressed. How we show that coming together now to propose another initiative or a follow-up of what late Cardinal To Me expressed would be welcomed. So it will actually take a government expression of willingness to address the issue and achieve lasting peace for any initiative within Cameroon to succeed. So I continue to appeal to the government to give a listening ear to the people. It's not late yet. The possibilities are still there for Cameroonians to broker peace between themselves. The people should be engaged, as one of the panelists there indicated. The people must be engaged. The people can be engaged in several ways. The approach using guns left and right will never solve the problem. Even the almighty America did not succeed. Cameroon is a very, it's a poor country. Cameroon cannot be able to win the war against its own people. So I think the way forward is for us to continue to express ourselves as we're doing to the government, our willingness and our readiness to work together to see that the Anglophones have leadership with which they can be able to have meaningful dialogue in the context of seeking lasting peace. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have come to the end of today's edition of the program. We want to say thank you to you, Andrew Atemi Bako, for participating.
Very much, Leonard, and all the viewers of my Media Prime. Thank you.
And also to you, Kudi Ihims, taking part on this program for the very first time.
Thank you. It was a good experience to have exchanges, and look forward to more sessions like this.
Ok. Docteur Simon, merci d'être venu.
C'est moi qui vous dis merci, et très surprise et en même temps très heureuse de voir qu'on commence à avoir les mêmes positions à un niveau où tout le peuple devait s'impliquer dans la résolution de la crise au nord-ouest et au sud-ouest.
Vous venez faire la guerre?
Non.
Vous êtes surprise?
Non, je suis très contente qu'on commence par comprendre. Parce que partout où j'allais et que je disais, les populations ont un rôle à jouer, personne ne voyait. Maintenant, on se rend compte qu'également, ils ont un rôle à jouer.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Sergio. Thank you, Cameroonians. Always a joy to be here.
Dr. Simo says she's surprised.
Huh?
Dr. Simo says she's surprised.
Yes, she should be surprised.
Okay, Dr. Tata, thank you for participating.
Yes, thank you, Brother Leo. I'm always available. It's been a pleasure. It's an honor to share opinion with the good people of Cameroon. Thank you, and God bless you.
We want to thank the production team, Eli Desmond, and those at the broadcasting, and equally to you, Tabitha Tambe Bryant, and to all of you who took time off to watch the program, especially to those of you who sent text messages to exchange with us what you think about the topic for tonight. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.